Patrick, it's nice to see you again here in Berlin. How many years has it been since we've been at the conference together?
Rodney, I think it's been 4 years.
4 years.
Ages, right?
Ages. So I know you've been very busy here, and you were just telling me just how much is going on in France today. So let's back it up a bit. Tell me a bit about the macro conditions.
So after COVID and after also the fight of inflation, we have a real public deficit. Obviously, France can't increase tax rates. That would send the wrong message to the business community. Also, the increase of interest rates put some more weight on that public deficit. So we need to expect either a spread or a slower rhythm of tax cuts, but also heighten aggressiveness of the French tax authorities during tax audits or tax collection. That could potentially find an illustration in the application, the quasi-systematic application of hefty penalties. And also something that the French tax authorities are using as kind of bargaining power is really they wave the red flag around the transmission of fines to the criminal prosecution.
So moving from civil to criminal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a true issue around the criminalization of tax disputes. And that is really something that companies should be aware of.
Interesting. So the criminalization point, obviously a very sensitive matter for directors of various companies. So with that background then, I know you've been talking to lots of different clouds here. What are the sorts of things that you're talking to clients most about because they're most interested in those things?
Well, really, they need to be prepared for an increased a set of compliance obligations. Pillar 2, obviously, is going to be a game changer in terms of systems, in terms of organization, in terms of cooperation of the tax and accounting functions, also with IT. This is really going to be a big change. But also, we're talking about a lowering of the transfer pricing documentation obligations. And also, what we see is a clear push towards tax transparency, either by, say, the EU. We have, of course, the public CBIC that has come into force, that will be effective as from mid-2024. But also what we see is clearly a peer pressure around that tax transparency. Who wants to be first in class in terms of voluntary publication of tax transparency reports or tax policy?
Interesting. So a bit of peer pressure in that space.
True.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And so as we sort of think about all of that, so you mentioned the macro conditions, deficit, interest rates, aggressive tax authority, the transparency and peer pressure, criminalization, or the threat of criminalization. I mean, what's next?
So next would be, you have so many to deal with. Immediately, groups need to revisit their structures because effectively with ATAD 3 coming up very soon, likely enough, and also all the questions around beneficial ownership or place of effective management, really groups need to revisit their structures. But what's next is actually a tough question because you see, yesterday the EU Commission announced the adoption of three draft directives, including BFIT and you said SMEs.
Yep.
Sorry, and that really, and also TP, that really is another game changer to know. So it's really one big reform after the other. Yeah. So stay tuned is the best advice.
Well, Patrick, no wonder you're very popular here, given all what's going on. So it's nice to see you again in person, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Robbie.